Hello pilot! Somehow it grabbed me yesterday and I wanted to see a victory screen again. Among my last videos, Barrick Lesnar suggested to try domination solo with the Chicane. I had never tested this before, so I wanted to try it. Then it turned out that you can't fly with the Chicane at all in domination. Someone must have played a trick on me. Nevertheless, the idea remained to try a different game mode. I had already done altercation with the Chicane, so what was left was confrontation. So I tried it a few times and came across a new loadout. 4 IRM S1s internally, 12 ATP1s on the stub wings and 8 kingpins. IRM S1s are important for defense and useful in attack. 12 ATP1s are more than 8 AGM-48s and the kingpins can be used against air and ground targets. I'm very happy with how the round went. I made it without dying once, even if it was therefore very critical. I wish you good entertainment.
Claw, your mission is to prevent approaching hostiles from advancing. The best thing to do is simply destroy them. We have a convoy heading from Dust Bowl to K92 and the tank unit advancing from Sandrift. Also, keep an eye on the sky. There's a lot going on. Good luck.
After firing at the approaching convoy, I dived down to get close to the ground again. High Command was right, there were also threats from the air. A compass was about to attack a light unit, so I wanted to interfere. In addition to the compass, a Chicane was also about to attack. I fired a kingpin at a long distance, only to set him up. Then I skinned myself and made sure to fly over him in the end. Since his nose was tilted downwards, his cannon could not open fire on me. However, Tutor was able to land a few hits. Now, 4 tanks remained on the to-do list. I only had 6 kingpins left, but all the time in the world. That's why I was able to put the Chicane in an optimal position and wait until all the tanks showed me their buttocks. I still had 2 kingpins left, looking for possible targets. In the end, I decided on the safe option and attacked 2 IFVs. So far everything has worked. All that remained was to fly back to base.
It was a good start, but there are still some fine troops around Dust Bowl. Try to neutralize as many of them as possible to allow the ground troops to advance.
First I tried to dissuade a Chicane from his attack by sending him a kingpin as a greeting. I was able to quickly switch on an APC and AFV and also take them under fire. In the meantime, Allied forces had finished off the Chicane, so I was able to target other ground targets. Near the ground, not all enemies can shoot at me at the same time, and incoming IRMs are easy to fend off with flares. Since I always had a line of sight to my targets, I was able to use the ATP-1s extensively. After I was able to fend off the attack of the optically guided missiles, I wanted to make my way back home. But a Tarantula took me under fire with its 12.7mm gun, to which I wanted to answer. After the Tarantula lost the ability to fly, I was finally able to make my way back home.
Spotted a large convoy moving from Sandrift towards K92. Reconnaissance aircraft report IR and radar SAM units. Damn, this is going to be a tough nut to crack. In addition, the convoy is led by tanks. Destroy them all and come back safely.
VRS.
After I was able to land some good hits, I wanted to get rid of my last two ATP-1s. They should be able to destroy 2 tanks.
Right engine failure. Right engine failure. Right engine failure. Right engine failure.
Okay, that didn't quite go according to plan. Apparently, a tank managed to hit me with its 130mm main gun. However, the Chicane is stronger. My helicopter burned and shocked violently, but was still fully functional so far. What a machine! I tried to make my way back to the base, but the tank did not stop shooting at me, which is why I decided to not show any more mercy. One last attempt on his part, but then it was over with the tanks. With my new torch of enlightenment, I crawled like a cloud back to K92 highway strip.
Ex are trying to understand how you made it back. However, the enemy is so far slaughtered that you can attack his production. Destroy the vehicle factories near Dust Bowl. Maybe you can then use the nearby shard to recharge your ammunition.
The trip to the factories was like a walk. An IFV guarded the facility but was quickly cleared out of the way so that I could subject the buildings to a 30mm deep massage.
Yes.
An Ifrit made its way to me and attacked me with IRMs. I was able to avoid them and sent an S1 after the Ifrit. However, the Ifrit of my missile just managed to fly away. Immediately afterwards, a vortex stepped onto the playing surface. It tried to finish me off with a bomb, which at first I thought was an AGM. So you can't fend off bombs with a main cannon. Whether that made sense at this point, we leave unanswered. The vortex tried again, but this time I was able to get it out of the sky with an S1. Since I was already in the vicinity, I wanted to attack the nearby radar station afterwards. But after I had destroyed the SAM unit, another brawler intervened who would have preferred not to try. As advised by the High Command, I then made a stopover on the corvette as Dust Bowl had not yet been captured.
With you.
The ground troops are about to conquer Dust Bowl. Fly to Dust Bowl and support them as much as you can. Then land at Dust Bowl and treat yourself to a fresh chicane.
There wasn't much to do on the approach to Dust Bowl. I tried to hit a tarantula with a kingpin, which didn't work, and landed the chicane.
We've gained the upper hand. Now it's time to deal the last blow to the enemy. Sandrift is still under enemy control, but our ground troops are advancing. Support them as best as you can. In the east, a corvette takes up position. It serves as an FOB.
Right after the start, I was able to fire at light vehicles with ATP-1s. They were not real threats, but rather a last gasp by the enemy. Another cricket got in the way, but it was shot down by light forces. I was still able to record an APC kill for myself. Then someone stole the MRAP kill, which brought me to the Ibis, which was approaching our ground forces. I don't know why, but sometimes tutorial just doesn't want to hit. Out of frustration, I shot 2 kingpins at the Ibis, which finished it off. Then I noticed a vortex on the minimap and brought it into the picture. It managed to dodge my first IRM, but I was able to keep my focus on the vortex and follow up again. Immediately afterwards, a revoker flew past me, which I felt was a good opportunity to try my luck. After both jets were shot down, I wanted to try my luck with the remaining 7 ATP-1s. There were already some targets at Sandrift reconnaissance. However, I didn't score a hit, the defense was just too strong. Now I made my way to the nearby corvette. On the way, I managed to shoot down a light vehicle with a kingpin before the incoming radar-guided missile could hit me. Sometimes the ammunition doesn't work, which is very annoying. Maybe it's enough to just take off and land again, but I always shoot with a cannon and drop a few flares. I don't know if that helps, but on the second try it works with the ammunition.
So far, we have not been able to convey a nuclear response. Your task is to weaken the enemy's air defenses at Sandrift to such an extent that we can put an end to this.
On my approach, an Ibis came across me, which shot at me with an AGM-48. I was able to dodge the missile and opened the attack on the Ibis. Immediately afterwards, another AGM was fired at me, which I was able to fend off with an IRM. I didn't want to lose any more time, so I aligned myself with my ground targets and launched the attack. I fired all the missiles I had at targets that could prevent a successful bomb hit. I was lucky, because my attack destroyed the enemy defenses as far as possible. Now the way was clear for a nuclear blow, which an allied pilot was happy to take over for me. Victory, yes! Thanks for watching and fly safe!